and welcome to another edition of Chocobo Chasers. I am G. I'm one of your hosts. I am joined, as always, by the Chocobros, Eric and Dash. How are you guys doing?
Christmas season, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah, getting close to the holidays, so extra time off, which means more time for gaming.
yeah. It's a good time. We've Eric and I have got our Christmas spirit on. Dash apparently didn't get the memo today, but
I don't really have a Christmas sweater. I have something like it. Let me go get it, I guess.
we'll take a brief hiatus from Dash while we're
Fucking
getting that
guy.
done. I got the special Final Fantasy Titus scene Christmas sweater from Etsy as a nice little gift to myself this holiday. So
Lift my seat up because I'm
yeah.
short.
Got the new setup as well. So people
There you
can
go.
people can admire the surroundings. Not really, but I'm very, very happy with it. And there's
Fuck
also
yeah, looks clean, man.
swords up on the wall and all that nerdy shit. Okay, there we go. Our man has a Christmas sweater.
That's festive as fuck.
Yeah, we
It's
ready
my
to go.
it's my JoJo's one.
Yeah, nerds unite. Awesome.
Santa.
Okay, we fucking ready now. So we have a few things we wanted to go over for tonight's episode. Um, Obviously, we typically tend to keep things really lighthearted. We have a lot of fun. Obviously, we discuss what games we're playing, what's coming out, what's everything that's going to be happening within the gaming universe. I wanted to start off this week's episode with kind of some somber news. This week, actor and veteran voice actor James McCaffery passed away. For those who are unaware, James was very recently in Alan Wake 2. He played Agent Alex Casey, who the body and all of the mocap was actually done by Sam Lake, but the voice of the character is James McCaffery, which is very, very similar to Max Payne 1. And speaking of Max Payne, he was the voice of Max Payne and put on an incredible, incredible performance for all three games. It's just a huge loss. He was also famous for roles in things that were not video games. He had a recurring role in Rescue Me, which was a show I really liked on FX. But ultimately, we just wanted to give our condolences to his family, to fans everywhere, because it's a loss for not just the gaming world, but for everybody. We I think we're pretty big fans of the Max Payne series, and he obviously is kind of the main part of that. Storytelling. So Sam Lake and him kind of just found this perfect little mashup that created a noir storyline that is really yet since to be replicated in gaming. So rest in peace, James. We loved your work, and it's going to be odd to see kind of how they pivot the Max Payne remake now. Dash, I know you mentioned maybe they go ahead and they just reuse some of that old, the old voice work that he had. This is kind of one of those situations where it's like, do they potentially use AI to
No.
work with that? And that's between the studio and his family, whatever they decide to go ahead and do. Or do they hand it off to a new actor?
It depends. Maybe did he already do work for
And
the
maybe,
remake
and
that
maybe
they
did. And that's going to be something really interesting to see. If so, it'll probably be his final work. So, we'll have to stay tuned on that one. But we didn't want to start the show without giving some uh gratitude to James and everything that he brought to the gaming industry.
especially
Um,
because we grew up playing those games.
yeah, exactly. So back on a happier note, it's the holiday season. Obviously, we're trying to be as festive as possible. This is our last episode before Christmas. We obviously love this season because we get to do our giveaways. We get to do a lot of fun stuff. We're putting out some clips on TikTok of us playing Lethal Company, which was so fun, and I can't wait to do it again. We are going to play again this week. And there, in addition to that, you've got all the sales and everything going. Speaking of which, I actually picked up Max Payne 3 on sale on Steam.
I got all three.
So it's great deal for a great game. Obviously, in Dash's case, 3 great games.
I know I owned the first 2 at one point. I don't know where the fuck they went. I think
Maybe it was
I
a
think
separate Steam account.
yeah, so the Steam account I have now used to be my dad's until I took it over. But I
Gotcha.
think I had the first 2 Max Paynes on my own Steam account that I had before I took this other one over, which I think on the other one
Alrighty.
I probably had like 10 games, so it wasn't like it was a big library.
Oh, the other one's got all the porn games. Huh?
Yeah.
No, I got a
Dash
bunch of
has
board
no
games.
shame. No, it is there on this one.
No, you just go through my game list and you'll just see like what's friendship with benefits.
Eric is just like, ugh. So
Eric's gonna see me on his Steam friends list and it's gonna say Austin's playing Breeding Village.
If I see you playing that, I'm just gonna be honest.
just
with you. I'm probably-
unfriend at that
No,
point.
I'm just gonna go sell my computer.
Just he's gonna stick his eyeballs in a deep fryer, basically, at that point.
I got stuck down that porn rabbit hole of Steam games that one day, and I was I just was like, I couldn't look away. It was just so like I was like, man, people actually develop this stuff. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
It is pretty crazy. With that being said, I think that's a perfect segue for us. What are you playing? And Dash, you're gonna go ahead and start us off this week.
So the usual Modern Warfare Zombies and Fortnite is in there. Of course, me and G just had some nice Fortnite gameplay just before jumping into the Zoom call, actually. So it was fun actually playing that. I haven't done much of the Battle Royale since the Lego and Festival modes came out, but obviously I'm a zero build kind of person, so that's what we did. But in other news, I finally 100% Risk of Rain returns after all this time. So about 102 hours of gameplay according to Steam, and I got 140 out of those 155 achievements. Those last 15 achievements are not going to be worth my time, and I'm not going to do. So we'll just leave it at that because it doesn't count towards like the total game progression. So they're just like hidden achievements, bonus stuff. And the only way to unlock them is you have to do all these prismatic trials, and they're like little like trial challenge stuff that you have to do for like each character. Like it'll be like put you on like a specific kind of like little level design with certain items, and you just have to do whatever it says, or like race or survive kind of stuff. And they are not fun. Some of them are really tedious and hard, and I don't want to deal with it. So you have to beat like all 45 of the prismatic trials, and then it unlocks the judgment trial, and then you get an achievement for doing it with each character. And it's like the extreme hard challenge. Like you just choose an item, go through, and you have to go through all these levels until you get to the final boss, basically. And it doesn't look fun. And it doesn't look like it's worth the effort of unlocking, especially because I'm someone who prefers Risk of Rain 2, where it's a 3D open environment instead of these 2D platform levels. So I love Risk of Rain, but my heart is with Risk of Rain 2. And I've done all I can for Risk of Rain Returns. I got that 100% into my log, and that's good enough for me. So I'm moving on to greater and better things, which I've also done some more Sea of Stars, which I don't think I've really covered how Sea of Stars is, which it's not really a complex or hard game. Like I think each character only has like 4 skills total, and there's only like 6 characters, I think, but I only have like the first 3. So I'm like into like, I think I'm a decent way through like the second main area so far. I mean, there's that whole drama with the Completionist, and they just patched him out. I don't think I ever got to the point where you meet his character, thankfully. But yeah, it's a really fun, cute game. I mean, it's like really relies on timing, because you can like time your attacks to do more damage. You can time blocks to take less damage. There's like this ability that I really like called the Moonerang, where it bounces off the enemies, and then you have to hit the button to make it reflect back. And you could like bounce it back and forth like 20, 30 times if you're good enough at it, and do some good damage. It's a really good RPG. Definitely can see why it won the indie game of the year at the Game Awards. So looking forward to doing that some more. Let's see, what else did I do? started Final Fantasy X. So Final Fantasy was on sale, and with it being on sale, of course, I had to pick it up and continue. If for those who didn't know, I've had this whole journey I've been doing where I'm 100% Steam achievement unlocking every Final Fantasy game. So I've already done it through the first 9 Final Fantasy games, and 9 took unnecessarily long amount of time to do because some of those achievements you had to do multiple playthroughs, and there's one where it was like, oh, you gotta kill 10,000 enemies, which is just,
it's tedious.
Yeah, because that's not a challenge. That's just playing the game for a long period of time. So, like, for my first playthrough, I probably killed like 4,000 enemies, and that was even with grinding.
Yeah.
So, got that, and then I was just waiting for Final Fantasy X to go on sale so I could pick that up and then do that journey of 100%. So we'll see how much
will
fun.
Be a lot shorter, I promise.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. And maybe I'll have a better time with the lightning dodging that I did back on the PS3 because I think my controller had some input latency, and then there's like I got to like 180 dodges in a row and got hit and probably broke a controller or something. But yeah, I mean, not that far in Final Fantasy X at the moment. I just got to the Kilika Temple and then saved at that point. So
Cool.
I mean, this is the best Final Fantasy. Let's just, in my personal opinion, this is the best.
You do not have to sell me. So
yep. I could tell.
Yeah. I only got a necklace and the sweater and the holster, and I got a tattoo on it. It's just, yeah, it's whatever. I'm not obsessed or anything.
Yeah. And I think that's it for me, at least.
Yeah. No, those are good ones. So I actually this week I took a page out of Eric's book. I started replaying Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and it is a hell of a lot of fun. I had kind of forgotten about it. I'm actually going to see if I can 100% it, get the Platinum Trophy on PlayStation. I've 100%ed about half the planets, and I'm 75% on the biggest one, which it is taking kind of a while to be able to go ahead and get it. But it's a lot of fun. Honestly, the gameplay is just great. The abilities are awesome, and some of the challenges are actually like really difficult. They are absolutely a challenge, whether it be traversal, whether it be actual just battles. One of them you have to fight 2 rancors, and it's like it is so tough, and especially because they have a move that just one hits you and you're dead. So played a bit of that. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've even talked about this. God of War Valhalla. I played it and beat it, and holy shit, it was so good. I seriously can't believe that this was free. It featured so many callbacks to the original God of War series, some that are so totally out of left field. Even from a gameplay perspective, there's new gameplay mechanics that come forward, and it's like a roguelike mode. They do it in kind of a different way, but it's still fun, and it's very combat driven. So like if you love God of War combat, you will absolutely love this mode. But man, I was baffled by how good it is. There are some really cool teasers in it as well. And there's some people you should play God of War Ragnarok before you play the Valhalla expansion, because
does it let you do that?
I think you can just skip right to the front. It tells you should, because it's in the main menu. You can play the game, or you can go to Valhalla.
I guess it makes sense because it's a mode essentially too.
But it takes place after the events of Ragnarok, and there are some key characters in Ragnarok, especially at the end, who play a big part. There are some characters from the original series, and I'm not going to spoil the who and what of it all, but it is so cool. I just absolutely could not get over how much fun I was having. And it's decently long. I mean, I played it for probably 10 hours. So, and that was, I was wanting to 100% get all of the trophies for it, and I did end up doing that. So you could probably beat it in 6 to 7 though. I mean, it's not terribly long, but honestly, just give me any reason to go back to Midgar and just enjoy more God of War.
With it being a
problem.
roguelite, is there any replayability value to it?
Oh yes, absolutely. And then there's stat boosts, there's new abilities, there's cosmetics, there's a lot of different features that it adds to maintain that playability and that viability. So it is wholeheartedly recommend that, and Separate Ways are easily my two favorite DLCs of the year. So played that. Also started Final Fantasy 13, picked it up on Steam, and it looks so much worse on PC than it does on Xbox. I'm kind of like baffled by how big of a difference it is. I am one of those people. I do not hate Final Fantasy 13. People shit on it because it's very linear. Final Fantasy 10 is also very linear, and if it's a good story, that doesn't matter. We came to a situation where we reached the opposite of linearity, which is Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and you just have this giant world with nothing in it. And it's not to say that Odyssey isn't a fun game. Like, it is cool to have a game in that setting, but it could be so much better if there were more, like, a more compact world can have so much more things in it. And like, you get that in God of War. Like, the God of War open world it's open, but it does feel connected. It's not just empty space. So started that, played, just like Dash said, played some Fortnite with him right before this, so that was pretty fun. And and then just usual, some COD, some Madden, just the usual kind of stuff. But yeah, Eric, man, what have you been playing?
We had a pretty busy weekend, man. It was Christmas parties abound. So, and then I had for a buddy come in town, so we hung out Saturday for the most part. I kind of kept it pretty simple, man. A good bit of Jedi Survivor. I finished Kobo's Moon. I went back to Jeddah, played a little bit of that. Didn't put a whole lot of time into it. Mostly played some Valorant and Counter-Strike. Played a ton of Counter-Strike the other night, and honestly, like, getting back into Counter-Strike, it's some of the most like fun competitive gaming that I've played in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's just been it really is just like it's a blast. Like, it's just us being idiots. We're talking a lot of shit. And compared to Valorant, like, I'm okay. I'm not as good with abilities. So like the gunplay I'm okay, but like I just forget to use ability sometimes, and that kind of puts a detriment to me. And then
For those wondering why we're giggling right now, a Steam notification just popped up on our computers saying that Dash was playing a specific game. I'm not even going to call it out.
Dash, what are you playing?
I'm playing Breeding Village.
God.
All right. And no, so it was a pretty light weekend for me. The past couple weekends really have been pretty light, except for, other than Jedi Survivor, maybe some kind of competitive stuff, but trying to finish Survivor so I can get into other things.
Yeah, we got to get you on that Spider-Man 2 train, man.
Well, now I'm going to have to play God of War DLC first because I have God of War already.
Yeah, and it's free, and it is.
I just got it in the mail Thursday, so I'll be
time to start it up.
I do love Free Fitty.
Free Fitty!
It's like goddamn Loch Ness Monster again.
Game of Free Fitty!
Well,
no wonder you keep coming back.
I said, damn, a woman, you can't open the door to the Loch Ness Monster.
We're South Park fans, just in case you didn't know. So this week we also celebrated something pretty special. Final Fantasy, the series to which we owe our namesake to. The Chocobo, which is a giant yellow bird, which comes from the game series, in case you didn't know.
I don't know if they make that sound or not. I don't play it.
It's more of a quay. Yeah.
Oh, there he goes.
Yeah. So we owe our namesake obviously to the Final Fantasy series and Square Enix, and it's just wild that this game series is older than we are and is still cranking out new entries pretty regularly. They're finding new ways to kind of enhance and new ways to evolve, and each new game in the series is also proving to be kind of wildly different than the others. something that I don't think any other series really has had a tendency to do. And I think it's a credit to them for just continuing to try and build on the legacy that they've created. Obviously, when people think about, some of the greatest games of all time, Final Fantasy VII is absolutely in that conversation typically. Obviously for me, Final Fantasy X is that game. It's my favorite game of all time. Dash, you said it's your favorite Final Fantasy. There's a lot of memories, obviously not just for us, but for a lot of people. And we just wanted to highlight that because, it is pretty wild. Final Fantasy 17 will be the next mainline entry, which is kind of insane to say. And we're probably a few years off because we did just have Final Fantasy 16 go ahead and release this year. We had the DLC just barely come out, and then we've got a new DLC coming out in the spring. We've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out at the end of February. And there's been rumors for a long time that there's going to be a Final Fantasy IX remake. There's rumors that the Final Fantasy 13 series is going to make its way over to PlayStation. And if you're me, you're holding out hope that maybe Final Fantasy X someday gets the Final Fantasy VII remake treatment. If they were going to remake another game after 7 in that kind of vein, I think 10 is probably the most universally loved after 7. Some people would say 8, some people would say 6. Just kind of depends on who you're talking to. But obviously, I'll always be Team 10, Team Titus. We out here, baby. But no, we just wanted to go ahead and highlight that because it is pretty impressive to have anything. And this is coming from a game series who basically started when gaming was really just an afterthought. Now gaming is the highest earning media type in the world. So, we'll have to wait and see how they do go ahead and evolve in this next entry, but definitely excited to see kind of where things go. So for our next bit of news,
real quick though, before we jump into it, we talked about something, and it was me interviewing y'all.
Oh, shit, let's do it.
And I came up with, we'll do 2 questions.
Okay.
All right. And it's really just top 3s.
Okay.
I want y'all's top 3 favorite companions from the Final Fantasy games.
Okay.
So not main characters, but companions, right?
Not main characters. So Titus is out.
Yep.
Cloud is out. Squall is out. Zidane's out. Okay. It's funny because 12 really doesn't have like a main character. I mean, I guess it's Vaughn, but
yeah, I would say it's kind of Vaughn, but
Vaughn
then he
sucks.
He's kind of like the observer. He's not the main driving point of the plot.
Okay. All right. Oh, I've got this in the fucking bag. Give me Vincent Valentine, probably the coolest companion in any Final Fantasy game. Whether he's the most powerful or anything, just awesome. Give me. I'm just going aesthetically this here. I'm not going off of like how good they are in the game. Give me Vincent Valentine. Give me Kimari Ronso because his design is so sweet.
Kimari's my dog.
And give me Sid. Give me Final Fantasy 16 Sid. Because Ralph Ineson is a fucking G. And also, it's probably my favorite Sid portrayal in any of the games because Sid is almost kind of an afterthought in a lot of the games. He is a party character in some of the games. Obviously, 7 is kind of the one that he's the most prevalent in. But he's an absolute badass. And the name that Sid is just like almost like a moniker. At least it kind of becomes that way throughout the game. But yeah, so I'd say Sid, Kimari, and Vincent Valentine.
All right, let's see. I'll start number 3. So we'll go with Vivi from Final Fantasy IX, little black mage, but gotta love the aesthetic because it's a callback to the original black mage design that we've had since Final Fantasy 1. But his story is also very touching, and I'm not gonna go into why his story is touching. That's just kind of something for people to experience if they've never played Final Fantasy 9.
Absolutely.
Number 2, I'm gonna go with Lulu from Final Fantasy 10.
There's definitely no reason behind that choice whatsoever.
I mean, just goth mommy. And obviously, I think this kind of pattern is showing I do have a theme for black mages at this point. But no, number one's gonna break this trend. It's Kane Highwind from Final Fantasy IV.
Oh,
I love dragoons. Like dragoon is my class in Final Fantasy 14. I love the dragoon armor. If I could cosplay with actual dragoon armor, I would. And Kane Highwind is like the original dragoon that you get to meet in the series. Actually, I think there was 1 and 2, but like he's like
he's the most memorable. I'd say.
Yeah, he's the coolest looking one. Besides, like we can go like Estinian from 14 or something. But yeah, those are my top 3.
Eric, that was a really good question.
Okay. I'm gonna hit y'all with something. Top 3 favorite villains. Not Sephiroth. You can't say Sephiroth.
You can't say Sephiroth.
That's a cheap one because Sephiroth is obviously easily number 1. For all of the absolute love that a lot of these games get, I actually think villains might be just kind of one of the things where they do maybe fall a little bit short sometimes. I'll say Garland is very memorable just in terms of like the look and just kind of like he is like a true embodiment of evil. Like I do really like that. So Garland from Final Fantasy 1. I will say I'll go Adia from Final Fantasy 8 because I think the story behind it is actually somewhat interesting. Final Fantasy 8 is not my favorite Final Fantasy. I hate the magic system, and I just think that Leon is a big fucking baby. So I'll say Adia, and I will say this. I'll put 2 right here. So I'm technically going to do 4, but I'll say Hojo from Final Fantasy VII, who is basically the reason everything happens in the game. He's the reason Aerith's mother is gone. He's the reason Sephiroth is who and what he is. And he basically puts in motion everything that bad that happens within the entire game. Hojo's terrible. And
Lucretia.
Yeah. And then I gotta go with Jecht just because like I think that it's a very interesting. So Final Fantasy X is my favorite Final Fantasy, obviously, but there are some things about it that just are so much better than other games. Like I love the use of like religion as this like because there's so much parallels to like today's world where religion can be kind of this shield for people to get away with whatever they want. And there's some I could do a whole fucking episode on this. So I'll say as it pertains to 10 and just like the father-son relationship between Titus and Jecht. Jecht is a great villain, but he's almost kind of not a villain. So maybe I'll throw him out. So I'll say Adia, Hojo, and Garland.
All right, I'll start number 3 off with Arden from Final Fantasy 15. He's kind of just like this jester kind of villain that you kind of have, but he's the main driving force, and you've learned that as you play it. And the DLC really, like, there's a whole episode Arden where you get his whole backstory, and that gives him so much more depth, and kind of you understand him more as a character and his motivations because of said DLC. And that's kind of like, that's kind of like what I felt like with Final Fantasy 15 is the core game, like the act 1 is really great, and then the second act is kind of so spread apart, and that's what the DLC just fills in, is that parts, so that it makes it feel more complete of an experience. But when you play it at launch, you kind of just felt it was so disjointed. You're like, what's going on here now?
Yeah, absolutely.
But Arden was great. I loved him as a villain, especially the final fight against him was really great. Number 2, I will go with I had it off the top of my head. Oh yeah, Kefka. Everybody loves Kefka. Usually
one of the most memorable for sure.
He's kind of like, they don't really give the backstory that he actually does have. I think it was like kind of like in the Dissidia character files that you actually got to learn that he was like Magitech knight that like did early experimentations, and that's why he was like so fucked up in the head. But yeah, he's like basically the Joker of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Just he's evil. He's evil for pure evil's sake, and that's why people love him. And he also succeeded in his mission of like destroying the world, and that's another reason why some people will rank him as the number one. But I mean, that final boss fight against him can be brutal if you're not prepared. That is, but like I have Ultimate already, so I'm ready for that bitch. Number one, I kind of like. I got the soft spot for like Final Fantasy IV when it comes to a lot of the characters. So Garland is probably one of my favorite villains because he's just this presence. And then, there's I'm not going to do the plot twist. I'm not going to reveal the plot twist about who he is, but just his aesthetic too is really cool. Like it's the traditional JRPG villain with the big bulky armor. Like that's what they did for like the first 5 villains of the series.
Yeah.
Just the same, like it's hard to differentiate sometimes between Garland and Exdeath from Final Fantasy V because they look so similar in their design almost. But yeah, Garland's really cool. He's from the moon, and you actually get to fly to the moon in Final Fantasy IV if you didn't know. So, and he also is a raid boss in Final Fantasy XIV, I believe, because in one of the recent like updates. I haven't done it, but I know like you could also do Kefka as a raid boss too.
Yeah. No, that's
I need to get back into Final Fantasy 14. That's reminding me of.
Eric, those were good ones, man.
Yeah.
Those are some pretty good ones. So happy birthday, Final Fantasy. We love you. We can't wait to see what we get to get next. I mean, it's just why we love games. So for our next part of the show, I don't know too much about this, so I'm actually going to hand it off probably to Dash. I think he may know the most about this. We are talking about the Completionist. So, Dash, I'll hand it off to you. Why don't you give us the lowdown? What's going down? What is kind of who is the Completionist? Why is he in the news right now?
So I know the Completionist, and I never really followed his content before. It's always a name that I've always known of because like he always had like those YouTube videos and stuff. But so the big controversy that I'm sure everybody's probably heard of by now, if you pay any attention to YouTube at least, is there's some drama going on with the Completionist and some charity that he runs called the Open Hands Foundation, which I believe does like it's meant for like raising money for Alzheimer research because his mom suffered from Alzheimer before she died.
Oh, wow.
And so, he always did like this Indie World charity stream event every year, and all the donations were to go to this Open Hand Foundation. But some other YouTubers like Ordinary Gamer and what's the other guy's name? I want to. Carl Jobs. So, some Ordinary Gamers and Carl Jobs, they've kind of just been like looking and investigating it. They like pulled up like the Open Hand Foundation's tax return documentation, and they found that they were bringing in all this money, but none of the money was actually being sent out at that point. So I think it was like ended up being like $650,000 total that's been raised over the years, and none of it was ever donated. I think the Completionist finally actually started donating the money after he started getting called out about this. But like, that was like he was getting called out for this for like months ago, and then like I think he finally just did the donations. And they keep on like there's so many videos from these two YouTubers as they like just dive further and further down this rabbit hole trying to find more about it, and it gets worse every time. Like I think the last update I saw from them, they were talking about like there's the Open Hand Foundation also works with like some sort of golf charity event, but because the golf charity event doesn't work through like donations to like a bank account, so they're getting like checks and stuff, and so nobody knows where this money's going to because there's no way to track that at all.
Wow.
So it's really sketchy, and just as as I mentioned, Sea of Stars, because of the controversy, they removed him from the game altogether because he had a cameo character in there, and just it's unfortunate when people use a good cause to further themselves, and
take advantage of people and their kindness, basically. Like it's just really shitty.
Yeah. So I mean, it ruins it for everyone, because you're not just ruining the trust in this individual, but other individuals now will be looked at with scrutiny.
But maybe we should, maybe we should have a more watchful eye on how these things kind of get started, because if the intent is good, then typically the follow through will be good as well. But obviously that maybe wasn't necessarily the case, and who knows how much like interest this dude's made off of that money as well. Like he could have been just living off of that, to be honest. I mean,
I think
we'll probably never know. Like
I'm not a tax expert, so I don't know, but I think it's kind of like like the tax documents would just show like, oh, there's a couple $1,000s paid in like, for like just cost and stuff for the organization. So who knows if that money's going towards him or something else, but that's the idea. Is just like, you have all this money and there's a big fat zero in the like the donations column of those tax refunds. So it's like none of that money is being donated, and was the big red flag that pretty much opened up this can of worms for this investigation.
Gotcha. Well, I hope that money does end up going where it's supposed to, because
I think it's starting to now because he got caught, but it's just
it's shitty that it came to that, though. Speaking of shitty, boy, the whole fucking can of worms got opened on this one. Insomniac, one of the pod's favorite developers, best known for developing Ratchet and Clank and the Marvel Spider-Man series for PlayStation, recently underwent a hack. And the hackers threatened to release information unless they were given, it was like 50 Bitcoin or something. And
2 million.
Basically, it equated to around $2 million. And Sony basically stood firm. Eric said it best. He basically gave him the Tropic Thunder. Why don't you take a step back and literally fuck your own face? So
this is Flaming Dragon.
Oh, Flaming Dragon. Fuck face.
Probably my favorite Tom Cruise.
I don't know what kind of Pan-Pacific power play bullshit you're trying to play, but Asian Jack is my territory. I'll quote the whole fucking scene.
That whole scene is just absolute gold. This situation.
Did you find out who that was?
So Insomniac got hacked. They followed through on their promise. And it'd be one thing if like, oh, they said, they leaked, here's all the games they're working on, and boy did they. But also they leaked like personal information. We're talking like
passport info for international employees and stuff like that.
It's really shitty for everybody involved, because these guys are working really hard. And like obviously we know they've put out some really special products over the last few years. My Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And now we have their roadmap for the next 10 years mapped out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not any less excited for what they're putting out. I'm not going to say, because if somebody wants to go ahead and look it up, they should do that on their own accord. But I do know that there are people who do still want to be surprised by what's coming down the pipeline. But Insomniac is a great game developer, and they have been probably one of the most consistent game developers over this console generation. They may even be the most consistent. They have put out Spider-Man Remastered, Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Spider-Man 2. I don't think any other studio has put together 4 major releases. Yes, one of those is a remaster, but so even 3.5 major releases. Like, that is insane. And all of the quality of those games has also been S tier, basically. So it's just it feels really shitty that you had people get caught in the crossfire of this. Yes, they wanted money, but like Sony's not really losing out on anything here. Like basically all that's happening is now people are going to be really excited for a game that's going to come out in 8 years.
Oh yeah, the roadmap was 2029 and 2033 or something like
Yeah.
that for the two games.
Yeah.
And in addition to all of that, Wolverine, holy shit, there was so much info that got leaked for it. We're talking gameplay, we're talking story. I did not look at anything related to the story. I did see one of the gameplay videos because I was curious to see kind of what it played like. I do not need to see anything else because if that's alpha footage, which it is, we're going to be in really good hands. I am also really stoked that they're going to be using the yellow and brown Wolverine
Oh,
suit.
it's that suit.
It is that suit.
That's
which,
badass.
See, I've seen a bunch of different footage, and he's always in a different outfit every single one. So I'm sure knowing Insomniac, we're gonna get like the suit options. I bet.
Yeah.
Like,
and like I'm sure the Fox X-Men suits are gonna, the leather black.
Yeah,
ones
just
are gonna
black
be
leather and
like and I'm sure there's gonna be like Logan and I'm sure they're gonna do a lot of things to kind of appease people to put other options in there. But give me like the traditional comic versions of these characters, and I imagine there's probably going to be other X-Men characters in the game. And I'm not really looking to see all of this information as far as like who or what's going to be in the story or what it's about. Like I saw this little clip of gameplay. It looks awesome. I trust these guys to do an amazing job. And I feel really bad for the people who were caught in this because they didn't deserve it. And we've had two major leaks in the last year. One for GTA 6. Somebody released a fully playable build basically last year, or video of them playing a fully playable build of GTA 6. And now we've got this Wolverine leak. Like, what's going to be the next big thing that leaks? Is CD Projekt Red going to get hacked, and we get like the Witcher information, because we do know like they're working on a Witcher 1 remake, they're working on the Witcher 4, and potentially other games as well. So
I hope there's not any more leaks, especially these companies need to get better security, especially.
Yeah. So cybersecurity is potentially one of like the hardest things to be able to go ahead and do, because there's always going to be someone who's like trying to one up you and be able to figure out how to get into your stuff. And it just really sucks. So we hope that there's been no like official statement or anything from Insomniac. I do fully expect them to come out and say something.
I thought they did say something.
I'll
check their.
Yeah, you go ahead and pull that up while we're
I saw you saw that they said Ratchet and Clank made no money.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
And then Spider-Man 2 was $315 million to make.
Yep.
Which, I mean, video games are getting expensive, and a Marvel IP, but I'll bet they make that money 4 times over at least.
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man 2 was the fastest selling PS5 game ever. So
what other Marvel IPs do you think they got? Because they have a deal with it. That was in the league too.
I know what it is. So
it said it.
Oh, it said what other there's
so I didn't dive that far in.
I unfortunately saw it.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
But I do know what the other one. I am very excited for what's coming. They are
we talking about the 2025 one?
Is it Deadpool?
I'm talking about the 2031.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be good.
Oh, that's 7 years away. I'll forget by that time.
Well, let's just say they're gonna be like a primarily Marvel studio going forward. So it's
interesting that Arcane got the Blade game.
Very, very, very interesting. But you know what? I will say, like, I'm kind of stoked that we're getting to see other people make like superhero games. Like EA Motive is doing an Iron Man game. Amy Hennig, who was the former lead at Naughty Dog, she's got her own studio now, and they are with Bad Robot, and they're making the Captain America and Black Panther game.
Oh, shit.
there's a lot of really cool stuff in the pipeline, and there's probably more stuff. Man, I wish so bad that we'd get another Guardians of the Galaxy game because it was so underrated. And it came off the heels of an incredibly disappointing Avengers launch, and I just don't think enough people gave it a chance, but it was so fun. And Marvel licensing, I think, is insanely expensive, and that's probably why they won't make another one.
I think Insomniac has theirs till 2035, if I remember
Yeah.
hearing that correctly.
Yes. So, and then after that, I don't know that I think they said they kind of don't want to make superhero games after that. Because I mean, that's a long time to be making superhero games.
They could always go. They could always go back to Resistance.
Yeah, to 2035 from 2018 when Spider. I mean, they worked on it. I mean, you're talking almost 20 years.
Yeah. So, and don't get me wrong, those 20 years will have been well spent, obviously, creating some insanely cool games. But it's just, I think we've kind of said all we can say about it. It just sucks. It sucks for the employees who are affected. It sucks to not be surprised. I mean, we've talked about leaks in the past because it does take away from like that anticipation and that, now it's coming almost, and now you have to wait even longer. Like, usually they'll announce it like 2 to 3 years or something before it's going to be announced, or maybe even less time. Every once in a while we get like the Fallout 4 where it's like, oh, by the way, this is coming out in 2 months. We don't get that so much anymore, but it just really takes away from that building anticipation, and then the announcement is such an exciting thing. Like, I will still be excited when we start to see legitimate Wolverine information coming out, and that game is going to sell like hotcakes, just like Spider-Man did, because Wolverine is such a easy to market character, especially he's going to be in Deadpool 3. Hugh Jackman has obviously carried that mantle incredibly well over the last 20 years. And
I mean, they just need to make it just like X-Men Origins Wolverine video game, and you got a solid Wolverine.
Just give me a rated M game. That's
it's gotta be. It looks rated M if you see some of the footage. That's
my
it's bloody.
Only ask. Like, give me gore. Give me just make it awesome.
Some people were posting the footage, be like, "This looks exactly like Spider-Man 2." I'm like, okay, where's Wolverine swinging around on the web and shit? I'm sure it's on the same engine, but
it is. Probably. So, for the final topic of the show tonight, we are going to talk about some of our best Christmas memories as it pertains to gaming. So, I'll kick this off just because this one, I don't know why I always think about this around this time of year. And that was my very first gaming console I ever got. That was just mine. It was a Christmas present for me, not for my brothers, not for anybody else, just for me, was my Nintendo 64. And I found out I was getting it like a month before actual Christmas because I tore a tiny little piece of my wrapping paper off and saw like the N logo, and I was like, oh man. And then I just left it. And then I went to another present and tore a teeny little piece of the wrapping paper and saw it was Pokemon Snap. And my parents were so pissed. I thought they were going to take it away and not give it to me because they were so mad. But it's that one stands out. And then the Christmas of getting the original Xbox, I ended up getting Halo, and then it came with Top Spin and Star Wars Attack of the Clones. And the Attack of the Clones game was so fun. I remember just having an absolute blast. The Geonosis battle was the funnest level. But honestly, just two memories that stick out like a sore thumb for me, because gaming has always had kind of a big part of Christmas for me, because I've been gaming since I was a kid. So, but I wanted to get from you guys too, what are some of your best Christmas memories as it pertains to gaming?
You want to go first, Ash? You want me to?
So I got one similar where, probably my earliest foray into console gaming, because I grew up as a PC kid playing StarCraft, Diablo, Warcraft, and Medal of Honor and all that good stuff. So my first console that I remember getting was the Nintendo 64. I think we might have had a Super Nintendo because I remember Mario Kart at one point, but the Nintendo 64 was like the one when I was really actually I can remember and game on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and I had that N64 for years.
That thing
and
lasted forever.
It still was working when I was like in college. Like that's how good it was. And I mean, the thing was like, I kind of still fell behind with console gaming because that was my only console well into like the PS2 era. So I'd still be playing at my N64 games, and I go over a friend's house and they have like a PS2, and that's when I get introduced to like Dragon Ball Budokai and Kingdom Hearts. I'm like, I want a PS2 now.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I was playing PC games a lot too.
Yeah.
I still what that's the thing. I don't remember individual games for Christmas. Uh, one specific game I can remember was getting Rock Band, the first one for Christmas.
Ooh.
So, I mean, that was a big moment there because you always loved Guitar Hero back then, and Rock Band was the next step up because you got drums, you could sing. So, like, having the first Rock Band was a really fun experience, and it's as anybody who's listened to previous episodes, I'm always going to ask for it to make a return, Rock Band or Guitar Hero. I don't think I have any specific Christmas memories besides that. I was probably always asking for like a specific game, and it's like I know I'm getting this game, so
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, that's always a good experience,
Absolutely.
And if who can that? And this applies to every year, but who can always appreciate Christmas holidays as an online gamer when it comes to putting Christmas noobs in their place when they come to play their new games?
Just the best.
Best time to just get some easy games in.
Yeah. Just get wrecked, you little noob.
Welcome to the real world.
Welcome to the real world, jackass.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Eric, what about you, man?
So number one for me is probably the first Xbox, Christmas Day. Two of the games I got were Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets and Halo. And it's just I just remember like I had it, I just was staring at it. My dad goes, "You want to put on the big TV?" And I was like, "You serious?" And he goes, "Yeah, put on the big TV." And I just played Halo for like hours in front of the TV. And then like my grandma and aunt came over like, "Hey, you want to come in?" I said, "Nope, I'm good."
No, bitch, I'm playing Halo.
You put it on the big TV, man.
Yeah.
First mistake. So that's number one. This one's actually more funny than anything. So number two was like we pre-ordered the 360, but we weren't the first. Like I wasn't the first batch of pre-orders for it, so I had to wait a while. But it was kind of like post Katrina had just hit. It was when it was about to come out. It's when pre-orders open. My parents wanted to pull my grandfather out of a nursing home, so they moved him back home. He took my room. So like me giving up my room and like move into like the living room basically where I was like just like shunned where all my stuff was out there kind of. They basically just like let me go wild and buy all kinds of shit for the Xbox. It all came in. They picked everything up and they wrapped everything and gave all the stuff to me on Christmas. And I just kept getting through everything. I'm like, fuck yeah, Xbox 360 controller, Xbox games. Fuck yeah, fuck yeah. And then I just get to this big box. I'm like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. It's my moment. Open it, and it's just an empty box. And it had a letter inside. And my dad said, "Sucks to be you."
The classic moment where you just fake them out with an empty
Oh,
box.
man.
And he was just like, "Look, sorry, man." He goes, "It's not in yet, but at least you got everything else." So I had controllers, I had games sitting there.
Oh, it was legit. Like it just wasn't there yet.
It just wasn't there yet. Like we had pre-ordered it. Like he had paid for everything kind of. Like they pre-ordered around my birthday kind of because my birthday's in September. And it was just like, fuck.
Oh my god.
This is bullshit. Look, I survived obviously, but That was a pretty funny one. Other than that, like, I mean, I would get games like my brother and I split a PS2, and then eventually he didn't really like it. He got a GameCube, so he just gave me the PS2. He had a 64. I liked it so much. I got a 64 eventually, but it was that was like the first one where like you're not playing this. This is mine type of thing. And it was one of my favorite consoles ever. Halo 1.
Yeah. That I remember the first time playing Assault on the Control Room and being able to fly a Banshee for the first time, and I was like, this is peak right now. Like, how can gaming ever get better than this? Like
343 Guilty Spark.
Not that mission.
I hated it.
I shit my pants because I skipped the cutscene on accident. I just remember hearing a bunch of shit crawling around. I'm like, man, what is that? This is weird. And all of a sudden, dude, just a little flood, all the flood comes out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, fuck this. I turned it off immediately. And like, I was like, I need a day.
Oh, I think I remember something I actually used to get a couple times for Christmas too. And you know, as a kid, obviously, I didn't have a bank card or a credit card or anything, so I couldn't do online subscriptions. So I remember every so often getting like the World of Warcraft 60-day
Yeah.
cards, and you know, always having to redeem
almost like the
those.
old phone cards or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me and my brother used to make trips to get. There was one summer when he was home from college, and we just decided we were going to share a room. It was my sister's room because she was young, so she slept in the room with my parents, and my grandfather still had my room, so we took her room. So he's sleeping in like a Barbie bed every day, and I was sleeping on the floor, and like I just slept in a sleeping bag every day pretty much, and just living it up. And I would game on my Xbox, and he would play World of Warcraft, and we would just go ride when he ran out. We would go pick up subscription cards for him.
Oh man.
Adult life
Just
so
a
much more
core
convenient.
memory unlocked right there.
We would stay up till like he'd stay up till like 2 or 3 in the morning playing Warcraft, and I'd want to play so bad that I would wait for him to go to sleep and play on his laptop till like 7. And my mom would come out and she's like, "You're still fucking up. What are you doing?" I was like, "It's summer."
Yeah.
She's
I
like,
can do
don't
whatever
care."
I want right
She's
now.
like, "I don't care. It's 7 in the morning. Go to bed."
I'm not going to bed. It's the next day now.
Oh man, it was tons of going to sleep at like 8 in the morning, waking up at like 5 at night, and doing it all again for like 2 months.
And then you have to like brace for that final week where you're trying to like readjust back to normal.
I figured that out in like 6th grade. I would just do a bender where I would just stay up all night. You would power through the next day.
Just suffer for one day.
Just suffer for one day, and then if you went to sleep at like 6 or 7 at night, you'd wake up. I would do it like 2 or 3 days before school started, and my sleep schedule would be right back to where it was.
Ugh. What a time.
I think I might do a bender on closest I got was Baldur's Gate release. I was up to like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
In the words of
Late to one of our pod interviews.
Yeah. In the words of Danny Glover, I am too old for that shit.
Oh,
I cannot stay up like that any longer.
Uh,
I'll make it to
that's-
like 1 or 2, like,
Yeah.
but you're not catching me past then.
New Orleans trip was my first time actually going 24 hours without sleep.
That sounds terrible. Like
Yeah.
that just sounds awful to me.
I definitely don't want to do it while I'm drinking. Like,
I was avoiding alcohol because I was so fucking tired. I'm like, I'm not gonna make it through the night. I'm like, I get that. I was getting that feeling where it's just kind of like you feel like you're just slowly falling constantly. You're just lightheaded. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
fuck all that.
But no, those are some amazing memories, guys. I before we do go ahead and close out the show, I did also want to go ahead and we announced this last week, but we officially opened up our Discord. So we are open to the public. We do want to invite anybody who wants to join. We've actually had a pretty good amount of people go ahead and join us. We'd love to have even more and continue building this community because that's what this is going to be about. We're going to keep building and huge shout out to our affiliate podcasts, both Saint City and me and Saints Block Party who have been huge supporters of us thus far, and they've been awesome. And we continue to support them as they supported us. So yes, if you haven't joined the Discord, please do. If that's what you want to do, obviously. But it's a lot of fun, and you get to meet a lot of new people in there. So I think with that, I think we're probably going to close it out. We want to wish everybody a happy holiday. If you do go ahead and celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If not, just enjoy the time with your families. I know a lot of people are getting time off right now, and it's just fun to not have to worry about everything else for a minute. So we hope everybody has a happy holiday, and we will catch you all after Christmas.
Have a good one.
Merry Christmas.